no matter what, there's always someone who's going to be more successful. It doesn't matter that I went to school with them, I have a personal relationship with these people. Like, I need to remember where I come from, how far I've came.
Stand by.
3, 2, 1.
The following program comes from executive producer Lilian Garcia.
Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, speaker, and 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania and is now the PFL MMA cage announcer. And now she's giving you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes, extraordinary entertainers, and wellness experts. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Hey guys, welcome to Chasing Glory. So excited because we are on location backstage WWE Raw. That's right, I'm very, very excited to be here reuniting with everybody. It's become like a family reunion, walking through the halls saying hi to everyone. There is somebody that I definitely wanted to sit down and have a one-on-one with. This is someone that I have been friends with since 2000, so 20 years now. Heart of gold, I love this guy. Shelton Benjamin, so incredible. We really dove in deep, and right after we were done with the episode, he said that he has never shared like a lot of things that he talked about in this interview. And we do talk about his connection with Brock Lesnar, what just took place at the Royal Rumble, and then his personal life. Things, like I said, that he's never shared. So definitely tune in now. Make sure you share this with your friends. Tell them you can actually watch the show, youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. Or like I said before, you can listen to it wherever you get your podcast. Just really appreciate you all not only sharing this, but subscribing and leaving those 5-star reviews. Continues to be a 5-star podcast. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's how we've evolved to video, and that's how we continue to evolve every single month. And this month is Black History Month, so I'm very proud to bring you this interview. All right, without further ado, here is Shelton Benjamin's journey of chasing glory. Born and raised in Orangeburg, South Carolina, Shelton Benjamin began his wrestling career in high school, where he became a 2-time state champion and recorded an impressive 122-10 overall win-loss record. His success would continue on a college level by becoming an NJCAA collegiate wrestling champion and would eventually transfer to the University of Minnesota on a wrestling scholarship, where he met and trained alongside future champion Brock Lesnar. His athletic prowess caught the eye of WWE officials and would sign a contract with the company, where he reported to the developmental territory OVW. He trained alongside future champions such as John Cena, Randy Orton, and Batista, and would eventually join SmackDown alongside Charlie Haas under the guidance of Kurt Angle. Just over a month after his WWE debut, Haas and Benjamin defeated Los Guerreros for the WWE Tag Team titles and would continue to dominate the tag team scene, earning the name the world's greatest tag team. Shelton would transition to a singles career on Monday Night Raw and immediately made a statement by defeating Triple H. Later that year, after being chosen by the fans to compete against Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship, he would win the title and hold it for 244 days, the longest reign of the decade. Shelton maintained success throughout the years, including winning the United States Championship and dazzled the fans in numerous ladder matches. In 2010, Shelton would step away from the WWE and proceeded to wrestle all over the world. He achieved the most success in Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he faced off against many top wrestlers and legends, and would even win the Ring of Honor tag team titles alongside Charlie Haas. Shelton would make his comeback to the WWE in 2017 and teamed up with Chad Gable. Although they came short of winning the tag team titles, the duo made their presence felt in that tag team division. For the last couple of years, Shelton would make sporadic appearances on WWE programming, but when he did, he would provide the experience and expertise that he is known for. He continues to prove that he is always ready to capitalize on an opportunity at any given time. Get fired up as it's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Shelton Benjamin. All right, I'm so excited. Shelton, dude, it is your turn to be on Chasing Glory. I'm thrilled to have you on.
I'm glad to be here. Obviously, I was a little reluctant, but definitely glad.
Yeah, you know what?
To.
Let me ask you, if you don't mind. First of all, I want to preface this with saying that we're backstage at Monday Night Raw, so if you guys hear any crazy noise, that's because the rehearsal's going on, people walking by, like a lot happens backstage.
It's TV.
It's TV. Do you want to say why it is that you were reluctant?
I'm reluctant because I always like to put my best foot forward. I like to be in the mix. I like to be producing. I like to inspire people. Mm-hmm. And lately, like I haven't been doing much as far as on air with WWE. And for me, like, it's just frustrating. So when you contacted me and wanted to do this interview, like my first thought was like, I don't even know what I would talk about because right now I'm not doing anything. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing anything that's fulfilling to me. Right. You know, I'm here every week. I'm ready to go, and it just for me, it's like when I watch shows like this, I'm like, you know, that guy's, you know, I mean, the show's called Chasing Glory. It's like It's like people are chasing something. And right now, I don't feel like I'm even in the hunt. Not that I don't want to be, but I'm not, and that frustrates me on a very personal level.
But you know why I love this? Because we have to talk about the down times too. Mm. Because the chase for glory isn't always about the up. It's not. Right. It's about those valleys and what we learn about ourselves too in the valleys, right? And sometimes it's within our control, sometimes it's not within our control. And what do we do within those times? And so I think it's important that fans hear about the valley. And it's okay. And I've had that with other guests before where they haven't been on top of the mountain talking about like, yes, this is what I had my frustration, but I made it. And, you know, hooray. It's been important to hear from that valley perspective and the hunger that you still have. So you just re-signed with WWE, right?
Right. So I returned back in 2017.
Yeah.
Which I was supposed to come back in 2016, but then there was a shoulder injury, so that kind of pushed things back a year, and that was a rough time too. But
we'll talk about that.
But yeah, I just re-signed another multi-year deal with them, so I'm still going to be here for a little while.
Okay, that's good because things can turn around.
Right.
Things can turn around quick. I want to ask you though, because I had heard when you came back, you actually publicly said that I was responsible in some decision of you coming back. And you mentioned that, and I was just like, whoa, what did I say? Because I know you and I were talking at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. I was like, what was it that I said?
So this was in Dallas. WrestleMania was in Dallas.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, I was there. I was doing one of the other events. Because a friend of mine who he actually recently passed away, named Fred Urban, he had a table at I believe it was WrestleCon or something like that. Yeah, and he basically said, hey man, you know, why don't you come and, you know, sign some autographs? I'm like, and again, this is where my pride comes in. I always, as much as I could, avoided being around WrestleMania during WrestleMania time, and I avoided it. I had no desire to even be in the atmosphere because after being in WWE for 10 years, you know, from the first 10 years of my career was WWE. So to not be a part of WWE, I just...
Did you see it as a step down, like you were just...
I saw it as a step down because WWE was my first step. like I never did indies. I didn't work like a lot of guys, like, you know, Kevin Owens and Sammy, guys who just grinded on the indies for years and years before they finally got their shot with WWE. Like I went straight from college to WWE. Yeah. So because of that, I had no real clue what the indies were. Like I had nothing to compare it to. Yeah. So when I was not a part of WWE, and I wasn't happy about not being a part of it for a multitude of reasons. So I just avoided going. And this particular year, Fred actually asked me, he said, look, you can come, you can sign some autographs, you can make, you know, tons of money, just hang out at my table and, you know, just be a part of the event. Like, people love you. Yeah. So because it was in Dallas, I figured, okay, it's only a few hours drive for me from Houston, so I might as well just go. So I went and I had a great time. I'm glad I did. I got to see, it was like a family reunion.
Yeah, it is.
So that first night, I remember I came over to the hotel where all the guys were staying, and I ran into you, and you were basically told me, after I explained some of the reasons why I was just not there. I think you asked me, have you talked to anyone? I was like, nah, like they're gonna have to call me. And
now I remember
your attitude. In a nutshell, what you said was, Shelton, get out of your own way. Mm-hmm. Stop letting your pride limit your opportunity. So, and I was like, I mean, that was the gist. I mean, it was a little longer than that, obviously, but that's the gist.
Because I remember saying to you, like, if you want it, you got to go get it.
Right.
And you got to let them know you want it.
Right.
Right? Like, that's a big thing, is to let people know, like, it's not, because you have to realize too, they have so many wrestlers that have been gone, have been here, been gone, that want to come back. They have the current roster, they have the future roster. They have so many that sometimes we take it personally that they're not calling us. And all it is they can't wrap their heads around how many people, and they just forget.
And the weird thing is, like, I know that, but at the time I was thinking, I felt like I was giving something up, or I was giving in to a fight that I took on for myself that they had no idea they were even in. So yeah, after that night, actually that same night, as fate would have it, I bumped into Carano, Mark Carano, and he said, Shelton, when are you going to come back to work? And I said, when are you guys going to give me a call? And he's like, I'll call you this week. And so that started the whole process of me returning to WWE. But again, had I not ran into you, I probably would have avoided Mark. So that was a very, very
dude, it
cool thing.
It's cool on my end to just even, I think that's the important thing, is that people don't feel like maybe their conversations can have an impact. And I always say to people, if you got something to say it, and reach out and help somebody, whatever. I saw something in you that night where I was like, there is something in him that he wants to come back and prove something. Like, I just saw something, like, you weren't done.
Oh, absolutely not. Like,
you weren't done.
Literally I felt like I hadn't even gotten started when I left. Like, I was trying to prove so much even then.
Why'd you leave?
Why did I leave? In a nutshell, me and WWE had a difference of opinion. I wanted to keep my job, and they had a different opinion.
Okay.
Honestly, like, I was so frustrated by the time I left, but at the same time, I kept feeling like I was constantly trying to prove myself as a superstar, as a performer, show that I could grow. And it got to the point where I was coming to work, and my heart just wasn't in it. Like it was almost like my spirit was broken because I felt like every time I had something going, it got taken away from me somehow or another. And my entire time then and now, I felt like I've always produced in the ring. I knew I needed to work on my promo skills, especially back then. But I also felt like there were ways to work around it, that there were certain things that could have been done to help me that they just weren't doing. And it got to the point I was just coming to work and I was just miserable. And it started actually taking a physical toll on me, because I remember seeing a picture of me shortly after I left and I didn't recognize myself because I was so caught up in this world, so frustrated and at my wit's end. I think the best thing for me, especially back then, was to leave.
Silver lining. What was the silver lining?
Well, the silver lining was, one, I got to spend way more time with my family, which my mom and sisters and brothers, I mean, everyone will tell you, like, if there was a family event, I just didn't go. I got to go to work. If there was a birth, I got to go to work. Birthdays, whatever. I put work above everything, which is probably why I never got married. But but I mean, that's just, I loved what I did so much.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get back to it. And again, around just before I started to leave, I felt like I was so frustrated, and I was becoming complacent. Like I was getting a don't care attitude, and all the negative things that a young talent would fall into. Yeah. Having their own pity party, and I think they saw it, and the decision was made to let me go. And at the time, John Laurinaitis was in charge of talent, and he gave me a call, like, Shelton, we decided to give you 90 days. And it was as simple as, okay. Like, there was no, on my part, I was actually happy to hear it for a couple reasons. Like, I knew my contract at the time was gonna be running out in a few months. Yeah. So really, it's like they just let me out of it early. But I wasn't upset about it at all. Yeah. Almost relieved. Definitely a little bit surprised. I've never been one to worry about, I'm gonna get fired, like, or anything like that. Yeah. But it was definite relief. And I was gone for about seven or close to 8 years. Yeah.
What'd you do in those 8 years? Did you go do the independence?
Yes, I did, because again, I love what I do. Yeah. At the time, I just didn't love who I was doing it for. Right. So, and I guess the bigger silver lining of all this is that I did get to go on the Indies, and the Indies taught me I gained a greater appreciation for guys who had always been on the Indies. I never had to hustle. I never had to create my own merch. I never had to do my own bookings, my own travel. Aside from my main contract, didn't have to negotiate any of that. Right. Well, all of a sudden, I'm in a situation where I'm my own boss. I went where I want, worked for who I want. Yeah. And for me, the great thing was, if I didn't like something, I just said no. Right. And so I had fun. The first thing I did when I was released, I took about 3 months off. I didn't do anything. Because
this sounds a little bit like Jinder, like when they let Jinder Mahal go, when they let Drew McIntyre go. Both of them, well, Jinder says he went for about that 3 months and just was pity party and just, but he said now when he returned, he goes, it was the best thing that happened to me. Same thing with Drew. It's like, it's the best thing that happened to me was that. do you say it's still the best thing that happened to you? Because you went to Japan as well, right?
Yes, and I went to a country I never really aspired to be a star in, and fell in love with it. Like, I love Japan. But before Japan, I went to Ring of Honor. And I did about 2 years there. You know, I reunited with Charlie, so we became wrestling's greatest tag team. And that was a lot of fun. And honestly, Charlie, who's still my best friend, he taught me the ropes. As far as the independence goes, him and his brother Russ, they did independence before WWE. So Charlie was like an old vet, and I could sit back and just watch how Charlie work and go, oh, okay,
right.
This is how you do it.
Right.
So Charlie, he really helped me out a lot as far as personally and just adapting to my new situation. So I did that for 2 years, and it was a great time. Ring of Honor treated me very well. I have nothing but respect for them, for their talent. While I was there, I got to meet and work with guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn,
right,
and other guys like Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly in NXT. So I got to meet a lot of guys on their way up. So from Ring of Honor, then I went to Japan, and that's where the love story began. Even though while I was over there, I always wondered what it was like for guys like Funaki and Tajiri, and even like, Super Crazy, basically guys from other country, to come and be in a locker room where English wasn't their first language, and just to be the foreigner, like, I can remember just wondering what it was like for them.
Yeah.
And then I went to Japan, and I was that guy.
Wow. What'd you find out?
Number one, I found out that pro wrestling is the universal language. And what I mean by that is how we prepare for matches, exact same thing over there. I didn't speak any Japanese at all, but I would be in a match where I'm the only American. Everyone else is Japanese, and I would sit and like watch them come up with ideas and things. And it was one of those, while I didn't understand what they were saying, I could understand their pantomime 100%. Because it's like the exact same lingo. And they would eventually explain stuff to me after they come up with everything. Even though I'm sitting, they would then take the time to explain to me and let me know what's going on. But after, I was over there for about 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And after about a year and a half, it was one of those things, I would just sit in, and I heard enough that I okay, I know what that word means. I know what that words mean. And a lot of time, and a thing I do when I'm working in the U.S. is I filter information. I don't need to know what everybody is doing.
Yeah.
I just need to know little things. And when I come in, so anytime I was in Japan, I would listen and I would watch, and again, when we're talking about stuff, we go, oh, we're gonna do this, and then boom, and then we're dropping, and bam, then hit them. So they're really acting out the match. So I would just watch the acting. So I knew this guy's gonna do this, and this guy's gonna do this, and then they call me Benjamin. So anytime I heard Benjamin, that's when I would really focus in. It's like, okay. But it got to the point where I was in a faction called Suzuki Gun, and Minoru Suzuki, who's a Japanese legend, total badass, he would explain to me what we were doing. So after each meeting, he would look at me and go, you understand? And after a while, I was just like, it went from him explaining to he would just look at, you understand?
Love it. Love it. It feels good too, I bet.
Yeah, it was so much fun over there. And I got to see more of Japan than I ever wanted to. I feel like I've seen every inch of Japan.
Wow.
Those guys are phenomenal. And between New Japan and Noah, like, and just the country itself. I'm just a big fan of Japan now, and I will say my daughter who's going to be an exchange student this year in Japan, so I get to take her over, and she's going to be studying over there for 4.5 months.
That's awesome. How old is she? This is Dad on the road a lot.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You said it. You missed birthdays. I mean, this is real.
Yes.
Dude, this is real. This isn't, don't be ashamed of it.
Right.
This is the real thing.
I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just very protective of my kids.
I see.
So I don't, that's actually the most information I've ever given out.
Okay.
As far as my kid goes. And I understand a lot of people like to, hey, these are my kids. And
that's all right.
But I'm just old fashioned. I have 2 daughters.
2 daughters, okay.
So I'm just old fashioned, and
how is it being a father?
Man, so I never realized that, and it sounds cliche, but how much joy I could receive watching people grow. You know, they are the driving force behind everything I do. And, you know, you just want to protect them. You just want to, you know, part of me, in my opinion, part of me protecting them was to not expose them, because I want them to have their own lives. I don't want them to be known as Shelton Benjamin's daughters and everything that comes with it. I want them to be able to go and develop and, you know, be their own people, have their own identity. When they're ready to reveal who they are, then I'll let them. But for now, my old-fashioned way is like, no.
Have they come to your shows?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And do they express any interest to want to be wrestlers?
No.
No. Okay. No. They want their own path. That's fine.
No. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I don't. If they decide they ever want to, obviously I'll be there for them. I'll support anything that they want to try or do. But as of yet, no.
What is it that they have shown interest in?
Art.
Art.
Both are very, like we were talking about drawing earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
They're both great artists.
Wow. So they got that from their
musician.
dad. I don't think people know that you actually wanted a career in art. When you were like, wrestling or art? Art, wrestling.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
When I was growing up, just for fun, like, you know, everyone reads comics and everything. Well, we didn't have a lot of money or anything like that. So, but we could afford pen and paper. So I just started drawing, and it started in the 4th grade. I would just draw these little things and make up my own little name for them, all these little characters, superheroes, things like that. And it went from being a hobby to kind of a passion, to where I remember as a kid, I would see the commercials where they were saying, yeah, we'll send you this art test and you send it back in and we're grade and do all this.
Oh, cool.
So I was doing all of that stuff. You know, that particular thing never panned out. That was some sort of scam. I don't know.
Oh.
But
well, it's kind of like the Christmas Story, you know, when he's like trying to get the Ovaltine or whatever, and go for that prize, and he has to get it, and then all of a sudden he does the puzzle, and it's like, you better drink your Ovaltine or something like that. It's like, what?
So I got to the point where I was just really, really good at it, and I used to have like folders thick of, you know, and typically a typical picture, I would sit down when I'm home. If I sat down at 3 p.m. and started a drawing, like I didn't finish it until like 7, because I wanted all these little details and all these little things. And, you know, I started learning all these little techniques that no one taught me. I just looked at stuff and just figured out how to make it look like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, particularly with shading and things like that. But
so you just self-taught?
Pretty much.
Wow.
I tried to self-teach myself the guitar, and that's a work in progress.
Now? You're doing that now?
Yes, I've been doing that forever, and I know some stuff. I'm actually I I'm getting to the point where I can hold a tune on the bass guitar. And I actually credit MVP for that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I was doing regular lead guitar, and my progress was moving slow as molasses. And and I went to his house. He had a bass guitar, and he was so into it. I was like, oh, well, let me try this. And it's like now. It's
you like it? Oh,
I
that's
can
cool.
hold the tune on the bass guitar.
I have to try that then, because I've tried guitar. Dude, my fingers. I mean, just my fingers alone. Ouch.
It's weird because just like anything else, when you try when it's hard, and then you have a little breakthrough.
Yeah.
And you just keep playing. Like, yeah, I've done it to where like
Raw.
all of these are raw, blistered.
Yep.
But it pays off. There's some stuff like, I put a few things on my Instagram, just little things, because I'm definitely not ready to enter any concert halls.
Yeah.
But
it's fun to see the progress too.
yeah, but I videotape myself all the time playing, and then I watch something that I tried to play a year ago as opposed to now, and it's like it's day and night.
That's smart. That's a smart thing to do, and you can actually see the progression of it.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing as you watching, I'm sure, a tape of you wrestling, and you go, wow. Okay, so I gotta ask you this, because Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Orangeburg.
The first time I remember finding that out, I was like, dude, I was in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I went to Irmo. You're like, Irmo? I hate Irmo. Yeah, because we used to compete against Orangeburg.
All the time.
All the time.
We were in the same conference.
Same conference, yes. And I used to go up to Orangeburg all the time to sing with my band.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
so I would sing with my band. I can't remember the clubs, but Mom would chaperone me because I was 14 when I joined the band. She'd go up there and we'd take our little ride to Orangeburg. So
Nice.
I remember you and I talking about it. I'm like, God, small world.
Oh, yeah.
So talk to me, because I know what life was in Colombia, but talk to me. You say that you guys didn't have much money. Like, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
My favorite line whenever talking about my childhood, you ever remember the Steve Martin show, The Jerk?
Yeah,
The old cartoon?
love it.
Remember Steve Martin, his first line in the movie was, when the guy asked the story, like, okay, my story? Well, I was born a poor black child.
That sounds like Steve.
So yeah, I was born July 9th, 1975, and I am the second of 4 children.
Okay.
I'm the oldest boy. I have an older sister and a younger brother, and then younger sister.
Okay.
And my mom and dad split up when I was, I want to say, 3rd grade, 2nd or 3rd grade. Because I remember starting a new school. And
How did that hit you?
honestly, I don't think it ever did. Like, it wasn't something that really, I didn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I still saw my dad all the time. Like, my dad wasn't absent. Him and my mom just weren't together.
Okay. Do you remember if they were fighting and stuff like that, where it was finally like it was actually good that they broke up?
Oh, there were fights. I remember a couple, but I really couldn't say how bad it got. But their situation got to a point where they just couldn't live together anymore. And again, I don't really remember the details of that. But
The only reason I was asking is, I mean, I remember my parents fighting so bad that I would run into the closet and just like hiding my ears. And my sister and I got to a point we were begging them to divorce. And they didn't.
No.
They didn't.
They stuck with it.
But they stuck with it. But
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was that bad. I think it was, in my parents' case, just for whatever reason they just weren't getting along.
yeah, but that's great that they didn't expose you guys to that.
Right.
That's really good.
Yeah. It wasn't a situation where I grew up in a house of violence.
Yeah.
I mean, the most violent times when I screwed up and my mom put fire to my behind. But
She did what?
she put fire to my behind.
She did?
Oh yeah. I was
Like
born
literally like a match?
No.
Oh. Oh, you mean spanking?
No,
got
right.
it. Yeah, I got it. Oh, I got plenty of spankings too.
Yeah, so we come from that era, so.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't a violent situation. It was just, we were just poor. I mean, we were struggling. We were on public assistance. Somehow every year my mom made Christmas cool. It was with my dad's help too. But we never had a lot, ever. My mom worked, so me and my older sister, basically we would watch our younger siblings, and then later my older sister left when she was in high school, went and moved and stayed with our cousins in Atlanta. So it was like me and my little brother and sister. So I was pretty much there's a 5-year gap between me and my younger brother. So obviously I babysat and things like that. So when my mom would have to work or things like that, particularly in high school when I was playing sports, I basically just had to take my siblings to practice with me.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
And that's how my younger brother got involved with it. But we just did what we had to do.
Yeah.
In that regard, I don't feel, I feel like my story as far as I go, is pretty typical for people at least from Orangeburg, because that was our norm. And I hear these stories over and over from people from all across the country, how, single parent home, they struggle for money and all these things and didn't have much. And that for me is just pretty typical of, black kids, honestly, at the time. Like, if I heard a story of a child saying, well, I did have a lot of money and I lived with both my parents, and, things like that to me was foreign. That was a foreign concept.
Got it. So when you actually started getting an income, like being here definitely provided you an income, how did that feel for you to have a good income, coming from somebody who was poor?
Honestly, it was the greatest feeling in the world, because I remember when I got my first WWE paycheck. I hadn't even reported to work yet. Like, I was still in Minneapolis. I had just signed, and I was going to go. I signed January 10th, 2000. I was still in college, and I was on scholarship, so everything was taken care of, but I still didn't have a lot of money. So when I got my first WWE check, this was about 3 weeks before I moved to Louisville and started OVW. And I remember getting a check and going, holy cow, I can't believe this. I've never had this much money at one time. And like a true person who's never dealt with money, I blew it all in 1 week.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
I blew the whole check. And it wasn't until the following week, when another check came, that hit me like, oh, this is every week. That's when I was like over the moon, because that first check, like, my mom could have stretched that for 3 months.
Right.
But when I realized, wait, I gotta get this every week.
Oh my God.
This is the lottery.
Did you blow through it fast for a while?
I didn't blow through that one as fast, because, I learned lessons pretty quick, from the week before. But at the same time, I'm getting this every week. I had no concept of what it was like to have that much money at one time, and I was only 2 weeks in. I'd never, ever. I had a credit card once in college, and it had a $500 limit.
Oh.
$500 limit. You know how long it took me to pay off that $500?
Oh, I bet.
So
yeah.
So when I was just like, oh, you start having revelations. Oh my God, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. And before I could do anything, Jay Robinson, head coach of Minnesota at the time, he basically called me into his office because he was, I was still one of his pupils. And he was like, he said, Shelton, do you have a retirement plan? And I was like,
what?
What's a retirement plan? He's like, are you putting away money for taxes? And I was like, we got to do that? And he said, here. He gave me the card for his financial planner, and they set everything up for me, a retirement, tax reserve account, and then the rest you can blow, but you got a retirement and you got to pay your taxes. Everything else, knock yourself out. Right. And because of that, that's part of the reason why, in my time away from WWE, because I'd always saved and put away money, that when times were thin, at very least, I was never in any threat of losing the house.
Yeah.
Because times did get thin. On the indies, I learned sometimes when it rains, it pours, but when it's thin,
dry, it's dry.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, but because of what Jay made me do before I made any real money, my standard of living never really went down. Obviously, I had to make some adjustments when I left WWE, but for the most part, I still lived a very comfortable life.
What a smart thing that he set you up for. And right now, the advice that you're giving people by telling your story. Because if anyone is going through that, and we know people are in that somewhere out there, right? That they need to remember it's not just a party every week.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the first week, go have fun.
Yeah, the first few weeks, knock yourself out. But
knock yourself out.
Like, you have one life, have fun.
Yeah.
But,
be smart.
Yeah, be smart. Put a few safety nets out there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this passion that you've had for wrestling for a really long time. Because before that, it was track and field and football as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you did amateur wrestling at the same time that you were doing track and field. Yes?
Right.
Okay. But you even went to college and were in football, and then you transferred to Minnesota. Why? Mm-hmm. Why that? Did you not like football? And
so, my senior year in high school, I had a really, really bad experience with football in particular, to the point where I just wanted nothing to do with the sport, even though I was highly recruited at the time. And I had been, my coach, Ron Donley, he was my wrestling coach, and he's the man I credit for every good decision I've made since high school and on. Mm-hmm. I can't say enough good things about my high school wrestling coach. He's like Mike Tyson. His favorite trainer, his famous trainer.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name. But I get it. And I always say coaches and teachers are so important. Oh my God, they're the right ones. Right. They're so important. Yeah.
So that was who Coach Donley was to me, because he would go above and beyond to keep me out of trouble, to keep me focused. He was always encouraging me. He always treated me with respect. He was, like I said, I can't think of a greater human being at least to ever enter my life.
Yeah.
He's one of my heroes. So we decided that we were gonna do junior college first, because I wanted to make sure that I could make it in a major college. But again, I was still being highly recruited for football. So we had gotten in contact with NC State, and we had a good rapport with them. So the plan was I would go to I would go to junior college for a year, and then transfer to NC State on a football scholarship where I would also wrestle. And everything was going good. I went to junior college. did good there for 1 year, went to NC State, and when we started, I was in football camp, and I think I got hit in the knee, and they saw me limping. They're like, okay, so we think you need to get an ACL repair.
Oh.
And I said no.
Oh.
I said, I haven't played football in a year. My body's just getting used to that contact again. But I'm like, I've seen guys get AC.
Oh, I've done
repair.
ACL. It's awful.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So when that happened, all of a sudden, I go to register for classes, and it's like, oh, you're not admitted into the school yet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, you're not admitted into the school. Like, there's something wrong with transcript. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I followed the instructions specifically given to me by you guys so that I could come here.
Right.
And I've been in football camp for the last month. My name's been on everything. So why would I not be admitted into school? And long story short, they came up with some nonsense to put so they could pull the scholarship.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, oh, well, you didn't do this class or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's impossible.
All because you didn't want to do the surgery?
All because I wouldn't do the surgery.
Because in their eyes, what did the surgery mean? They were just scared that you were going to get hurt?
Well, they wanted to repair it, my
Yeah.
knee, repair
Yeah.
it. And I said, no, I'll just wrestle. Like, I'm not going to get knee surgery. Like, again, I wasn't really high on football anyway, so I'm like, I'll just wrestle. But I was on a football scholarship.
Ah.
So they basically came up with a way
Okay.
to recoup that scholarship.
Then how did you transfer then to Minnesota?
Well, of course, Coach Don Lake wanted to go berserk. And that was one of those situations where that was my first real valley.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't say my first real valley, but that was a major valley because I worked to get to this D1 school, and now
Yeah.
I'm being screwed by it. And at the time, Coach Guzzo, the wrestling coach, like, well, you can stay here and you can do night school and you can, still transfer to the school. But because at the time I was very untrusting. So once I felt like that school burnt me, I was like, no, I just want to get out of here. And my coach wanted to go to court and everything. I was like, Coach, even if I can get in right now, I don't want to work with these people. I don't want to be around them. Mm-hmm. I'd rather go back to California. Mm-hmm. So I went back to junior college, which was actually in California.
Okay.
And that's where I won JC Nationals and then in track and wrestling. And while at Nationals, that's where Minnesota
Came into play.
got wind of me.
Got
And
it.
I ended up going to University of Minnesota, and I went in as a junior.
And that's where you ended up meeting Brock Lesnar. In Minnesota? Yeah?
Yeah, I met Brock a year later.
Well, yeah,
My-
but it
my-
was there. Yeah.
No. He wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't
Brock
there.
was actually in junior college also.
Okay.
I believe he went to Bismarck State in North Dakota. So my senior year
Mm-hmm.
was the first time we saw Brock wrestling at a tournament. And me screwing up, I lost my match, and Brock ended up winning that tournament, and I ended up taking third in that tournament. But of course, when you see Brock, it's like, holy cow, like,
Who is that guy?
right. And, the Minnesota coaches swarmed him. And he ended up obviously coming to Minnesota and, he did okay. I think
Yeah.
he did okay. But that's around the time we became friends, and I was a heavyweight. Even though I was a small heavyweight, I was a heavyweight all through high school and college. So basically, me and Brock were the same weight class.
Wow.
So basically, when Brock finally transferred in, I had stayed on as a coach / I still had another year of my scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a coach / sparring partner. So there were only 2 guys that could give Brock a match in practice. But there was only one full-time guy that could give Brock.
That was you.
Yeah, ding, 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 ding. So for about, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a day, like for practice, me and Brock would just go at it. And it was funny because me being the older, supposedly more, I guess, smarter, savvy athlete, like the first time I wrestled Brock, I went to grab his leg and he just thrusted his hip and I flew halfway across the room. And I was like, yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So it started off me teaching him finer points. Like Brock was a beast from day one. He was a sponge from day one. And like some days I would go in the wrestling room and I couldn't do anything with him, like nothing. And then other days he couldn't do anything with me. And then other days for 2.5 hours, we would just 2 bulls locking horns. But that was my life and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was around SummerSlam, it was just for 99. WWE had contacted the University of Minnesota. Me and Brock ended up going to the pay-per-view, SummerSlam 99.
Wow, I started the day after SummerSlam. So how crazy is that? At the Raw right after SummerSlam in 99.
Wild.
In 99.
Wow.
I was supposed to start that day at SummerSlam, but I was already booked and I was in Dominican Republic flying back, and that next day I started.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that was both of our first shows, just attending.
Yeah.
And going backstage and meeting everybody, and because Brock had another year of eligibility, they really couldn't wheel and deal with him. But me, I was free to do whatever I want, and I did a tryout just before Thanksgiving, and I remember just being home, like thinking to myself, you have that moment of just complete fear. It's like, whoa, this is real now. Like I got a chance of being in.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of panic, because my heart, I remember just waking up one night.
Because you're going to the big leagues.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like all these guys that I've watched and idolized, and I was just like.
And that was during the time of Stone Cold, Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I know, I was there, I was working inside myself going, oh my God, I got to announce these people and I don't even know how to do this job.
Yeah.
I get it.
So.
I get it.
So when I got there, I did my tryout, and it was very. So because I'm an amateur wrestler, like, at least at Minnesota, we had a reputation for being those crazy wrestlers because of our extreme workouts. So I trained really hard. When I knew I was going to do the tryout, I trained really hard. And when I went to Stanford, and Dr. Tom, he kind of took me to the ring with another guy who was trying to get into business. Matter of fact, his name was Andrew Bernardsky. He was an actor. Mm-hmm. He was in movies like The Program.
Oh yeah, love The Program. It was filmed in South Carolina.
Ah.
University of South Carolina. I was there when they were like, we're filming scenes for this movie called The Program.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
This is a small world.
It is, it is.
So for me, because I'd been a wrestling fan all my life, like the stuff he was showing me, like he only had to tweak things. I'd never been in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Never been taught how to do anything, but he was calling match. He had me just do basic, the utmost basic of things. And when he was telling me to do this or that, like I just knew what the moves were.
Right.
And I just had to do little tweaks here or there. So this is day one, and at the time, the Mean Street Posse's Pete.
Pete Gas.
Yeah, Pete Gas.
Yeah.
He was there, and Dr. Tom said, have a match with Benjamin. Just call it. You just listen to him and just do what he says. So technically, I had my first wrestling match with a professional about an hour and a half after doing some training, and we just had a full match, and I just listened to everything he said, and it was like duck to water, because nothing he said I didn't already know or
Yeah.
seen enough times. Like, so it was like it was just meant to be.
Yeah. Because you were signed after your first tryout?
So that was Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and then I heard nothing until until like early, like maybe right at January, like 1st or 2nd.
And that's when
you know what I
signed,
mean?
2000.
Yeah. And so John Laurinaitis gave me a call, and he said, "We're going to bring you aboard, so we just need to know, we have 2 training sites. One's in Memphis and one's in Louisville. Like, which one do you want to go?" And I was like, as bad as this sounds, Memphis was closer to Atlanta, where I had a lot of family, and I did not want to be close to any distractions. So I said, "Send me to Louisville.
I don't focus.
I don't know anybody there."
Yeah.
Um,
Focus.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that makes sense, and it's actually sometimes you have to do that to be able to really zone in.
well, I mean, we kind of sped past when I went to college. Again, I went to college a junior college in California, and even my mom was like, "You want to go all the way to California?" And the reason I wanted to do that was because for years, I would watch people who went to college in, South Carolina or Clemson
Yep.
or some parts of Florida, didn't make it, or something got tough and they ran home. And I wanted to put myself in a situation where it has to work. Because when I went to California, the coaches flew me out there, but they only bought me a one-way ticket. That's a long way to get
Yeah.
home. So
Yeah.
once I was out there, it was like, I have to make this work.
I love that.
And there was no reason why it shouldn't, but I didn't want the option of, when I get frustrated or get mad, to run home. And because I couldn't, you just had to tough it out.
Yeah.
And there were times when I was out there and I was like, "Oh no, I hate this place," because I didn't go to LA. I didn't go to, even San Francisco. I went to northern, like more like southern Oregon, California. So I was in the mountain. The biggest store, I was in a city called Susanville.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, Lassen Junior College in Susanville, California.
Wow.
At the time, the biggest store was a Walmart, and Walmart had just gotten there. It was a drive-through in New Blanktown. Of course, I didn't know any of this going into it. Like, the guy, one of the coaches was like saying, yeah, we go to Reno for fun, and we just a short mile. So I remember me and my buddy, me and actual teammate and my best friend at the time, we went to that school together. So when we got to Reno, some of the other team guys picked us up, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, Susanville is it's right over this hill here, right over this hill." And yeah, it was right over that hill. Right over that hill and 80 miles past the hill, north.
So basically you were in the middle of nowhere.
And when we got there, it was one of those things where we fell asleep in the car. Like, I was like, that ride was so long, we fell asleep in the car? Like, where are we? And then you start looking around. Don't get me wrong, the scenery was beautiful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is not LA.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. All right. Wow.
but yeah, it was just, I just wanted to put myself in situations where I got to make it work. I don't like to make excuses. I don't like to.
Was that instilled in you early on? Got to make it work? Did you just see your mom making it work?
She definitely, it might have subliminally gotten instilled in me. Again, my mom made everything work.
Like she didn't come up with excuses.
She didn't come up with excuses. Like, she just did what she had to do, for lack of a better term. And, you can question the morality of some of the things a poor black woman who's trying to provide for 3/4 children, you know, like she just, whatever she had to do, she just made it happen. And I guess it got into me too. Like, whatever, if you want it bad enough, or whenever you're put in a situation, I believe whenever you're put in a situation where you have to use ingenuity because you have no other choice. You have to find a way. Like, I think some of the greatest minds on the planet are locked up in prison. Because have you ever watched these prison documentaries?
Yes.
Have you seen how clever these people are because to get what they want? Like, right now, I wouldn't know how to get, you know, any of these illegal substances or anything like that. And I watch these documentaries of people who just, because all they have is time and they just think and they work stuff out. How do I get this? How do I get this? And it's all about motivation. Like, if you want it bad enough, you'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Give it enough time, you'll figure it out.
Right.
And when you're in a pressure cooker where you have to figure it out, it's like, so, you know, I guess the term is dig deep and figure it out.
Yeah.
So, and that's what my mom had to do, you know, all of our lives. So when I went to California, it's like, I put myself in a situation, again, this has to work. When I went to Minnesota, this has to work.
Yeah.
And when I finally made it to WWE, despite all my fears, I was like, this has to work. Like, because I put all my eggs in this basket.
Yeah.
This has to work.
Right.
And
Well, you made it work for 10 years, and then here you are. I want to ask you, though, as far as going back to Brock, you know, because I think there's a debunking of something, because it's literally written where he was the one that got signed and told WWE, or before he signed, he says, I'm not going to sign unless Shelton Benjamin gets signed. But you guys didn't sign at the same time.
no, I signed a full year before Brock.
Yeah, so need to debunk that one.
Well,
you guys signed on your own.
Here's the thing, I don't know what conversations happened between Brock and WWE, because it's not like we sat down next to each other. I don't know when they approached Brock with an offer, because who knows, maybe someone did talk to him, but I really don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I do know that they did think it was a good idea for us to be there together. Like, I know that was always the plan.
Well, you guys were tag team champs 3 times.
Oh yeah.
Together.
Yes.
Like, I don't think people know that as much, but thank goodness to Royal Rumble, there was a beautiful moment that you guys had. Now, obviously, he turned his back on you.
Well,
but,
you know.
But we know,
Yeah, you know.
he was turning his back on everyone. Like, he was doing whatever he needed to do. But I love the fact that WWE highlighted that and really reminded everyone of the history that the two of you have together, tag team champs together. He's even crediting you, and I don't know if this is real, but he said that you gave him a place to stay when he had absolutely no money, that he lived with you. Did he live with you?
Yeah. I mean, when he first came to Louisville, we moved in together. Like, again, when I met Brock, it was like, instantly I liked the guy. You know, he was a fun, big, fun-loving dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like he's the guy that if he likes you, he will give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
If he doesn't like you, well, you will know.
Yeah.
And I can respect that. You don't have to wonder where you stand with him.
Right.
But yeah, like anything, especially at that time, because one, I first met him as a coach,
Yeah.
and it's instilled in me to help. So we became coach, and then we became friends. Like I would done anything I could to help him, because one, I mean, obviously he was a once in a lifetime athlete, and obviously we didn't know where this was going. Like, we just thought we'd go, like, hey, we'll go to WWE, win some tag titles, and have some fun, you know.
Yeah.
And he was, like I said, he was just a guy that you saw something special in him immediately.
And you guys have kept your friendship throughout these years?
We're pretty good friends. I feel like, you know, career paths have kind of split us a bit. And for me, it was a situation where, okay, he's doing his thing, and he's doing very well at it. I need to focus on me. I need to do my thing.
Does that create, because I can tell you have a definite will in you to compete, to win. In high school, your record, 122 wins to 10 losses?
Right.
9
of those losses came my first year.
9 came in your first year? Wow. That's amazing. 122 wins? Dude, that's incredible. And even in college, I think you had like 36 to
7 or something like that.
Yeah. So
sub 10. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
exactly.
so. So it's really impressive, and it just says what a hard worker you are, what passion you have for this, what a competitor you are. So with all of that, and now here you are, and you're frustrated, and you see Brock where he's at, you know, has headlined WrestleMania, all of that. How do you process all of that? How can you help anybody who's in your situation right now, who doesn't necessarily sometimes feel, because I know that you pitch ideas, right? You pitch ideas. You even showed me outfits that you were like, oh, I think this is what I have, this look where I was like, oh, I love it. And then they don't necessarily want you to have that look.
All right. So first of all, when it comes to when I look at Brock, I don't compare myself to Brock because a couple of reasons. First of all, Brock's a different animal. Like, you know, you don't compare the lion to the jaguar. Like, we're just different animals in that aspect. And honestly, I wouldn't limit myself to compare myself to Brock. Because one, I look at my entire class from OVW and I go, Brock, Randy, Batista, Cena, like,
holy cow.
Yeah, that was my class, and so
wow.
I don't just look at Brock. I just look at everything all of these guys have accomplished, and my arrogant competitive side goes, I don't care what you say, I'm better than all of them. Despite what's been done, what's been in the media. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to Cena, I consider Cena a wrestling genius. One, obviously, when it comes to talking,
yeah.
Honestly, in his case, I say you put him in any situation, I feel like Cena will morph into whatever you need, whatever you need him to be on the spot. That's a talent that it just amazes me. From the day I met him, that amazes me. Brock he's a juggernaut. He's a living juggernaut. Randy I would probably compare myself more to Randy than any of the other guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've got a fluid wrestling style like Randy. Like, he just has this style where he just does these moves, and it's like ballet, right? It's like, whoa. You're the same way. When I see you in the ring, it's like, it's smooth.
Right.
It's smooth, yeah.
So I would say, stylistically, that's who I would compare myself more to.
Yeah.
And even from a character standpoint, like, I always saw myself more like a Randy. Obviously, that's not the route I went or not the route I take, but again, if I sit and constantly compare myself to other people's successes, you would drive yourself crazy, because no matter what, there's always someone who's going to be more successful. It doesn't matter that I went to school with them, I have a personal relationship with these people. Like, I need to remember where I come from, how far I've came. Also, I have a lot of confidence in my ability. like almost to the point of arrogance, but I don't put it out there.
Why? Why do you hold up back?
A huge part is because I was taught to be humble. I don't like to, I like to show, not say. And obviously we're in the pro wrestling business where, no, you got to say it too.
Yeah.
And I guess the problem for me is that aspect of the game didn't really sink in until later, and certain opinions were formed. And, you know, once certain people have certain opinions on how well you do this or that, it almost takes an act of God to get them to go, no, actually, he's a lot better than that than you realize. And I feel like I fell victim to that in a huge way, where some early perceptions are sticking and people really don't know.
So what would you want to say to make them understand who you really are and change their perception?
Well,
When you say they don't know, what is it they don't know?
I shouldn't say they don't know. They haven't had it I don't think fans have had a chance to see my growth as a performer, particularly when it comes to the mic.
Right. I've seen you do some. You and I talked about it, and then I text you after. I'm like, oh, that was good.
So.
And then you wouldn't have any opportunity after that.
Right, and
Yeah.
it's like, here, say something. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
And so certain lasting perceptions, because again, this is a wrestling business and you need a bit of repetition and follow through, and you gotta some things you gotta put, if you want to change people's perceptions, you have to give them the opportunity to see the change.
Right.
And I don't feel like I've gotten that, for reasons I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me of the conversation that I had with Tamina Snuka. So I told Tamina, I said, I see something in you that wants to fire up. She wants to go out there and go, damn it, this is my time. Let me prove to you why I belong here. And I said, what is it that stops you? Because I see it. She goes, I've been taught to be humble. The same exact words. Crazy. And look where you see it, right? You see it in her where she's just like, oh, but she's holding herself back with that humble. So I think it's good to be humble, but at the same time, Shelton, you're gonna need to freaking just grab the mic sometime,
Right.
And do something.
And to your point, I have asked for it over and over. When I did the segment with Ray, when I came out and I was bullying Ray, you know, which led to Kane coming out and, you know, punking me, whatever. But as far as that promo goes, like, that was, to me, it was having fun. It was material that I believed in. It wasn't like just goofy,
Right,
you know what I mean? So it was very easy for me to be able to, one, come off very natural because one, I believed in the material, and again, it was in my head. I'm going, okay, this is an opportunity for me to show you huge improvement, because even I can look back at some of my old promos and go, ooh, that was bad. But in a lot of cases, it was just because I just didn't believe in
What you were saying.
I didn't believe in what I was saying, or in some cases, I just didn't understand. Like, I did a promo even recently when I came back when me and Gable were tagging, and in one point, there's a line in the promo that goes, "Where I come from, snitches get stitches." And I remember reading that going, I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've never taught like this. Like, so with that being said, it was one of those things like, part of me wanted to go, who wrote this?
Yeah.
Because.
What did you ask and did you say, can I change it?
Well, at the time, I was just trying to take lemons and make lemonade. But a part of me is like, a lot of times I believe it's not so much that someone can't do what you need them to do. It's the context and where you put them, or it's how you want them to portray it. Because I don't speak with a lot of, for lack of a better term, black vernacular in my just everyday speak. So for me to go, well, snitches get stitches, I'm like, that's not me.
Right.
Yes, I'm from the hood, but I'm one of those guys that listen, paying attention.
Yeah.
I can talk like that, but it has to be natural. I can't go on stage and fake that. You can't fake that.
But that's where I think you need to protect yourself. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to put humble. I literally think that you need to open up the closet when you come to work and put humble on the shelf, okay? Close it and go, I'm here to work. Whatever it takes for me to be my best, whatever it takes for me to deliver the best. And you need to protect yourself. If you don't believe something, you need to tell the writer, I don't believe in this. This is what I would do. This is my tone. So let me show you what I can do with my tone. Okay, not I just don't like it, and then don't give me the okay. Well, what would you do instead? But you need to protect yourself because it will sound fake out there, and then the fans will not connect, and then the fans will look at Shelton Benjamin and be like, he's a good wrestler, but he just can't talk. He can't do the rest. Right? He's one-sided kind of guy.
Right.
But if you put humble on the shelf, and you seriously do this, I think you will start seeing that, and that's in anything, even if they don't give you the promo, put humble on the shelf for right now, come here and go, you guys are paying me? I am here to produce, I am here to fire these fans up, I am here to show you what I can do. Put me in, coach, put me in.
Right. And I've done that. And I guess that's the other side that fans don't see, or people don't realize, is that I'm constantly screaming for the ball.
Okay,
Give me the ball.
This is where the fans come in then. I'm going to ask the fans right now to seriously, look, they did this with Mia Yim, which I want to talk about real quick as we having to wrap this up because Monday Night Raw is about to start.
Right.
But Mia, she literally had the fans saying, sign Mia.
I remember that.
Remember that?
I remember that.
Okay. We need the fans' help on this one. Where fans listening to this can be like, you know what? I do want to see more of Shelton Benjamin. I like what he has to say. I like his message. I like him as a person. He seems like a super nice guy, super talented. He has put his time in. Let's see what he can do and get them to start really sending in tweets, sending in messages, Instagram, get them in the arenas, start chanting your name, and get them to get behind you, to have WWE hear this and give you a shot. And that's what it might take. Guess what? Sometimes you need an army. You need an army.
I believe that, which is, again, I pick and choose my battles or my battlefield. So my latest, at least if for nothing else, for my own creative satisfaction, I've been on Main Event last few weeks, and so I decided, like most people look at Main Event, it's just a review show. It's just they don't put a whole lot of stock in it. So I've made it my own personal showcase place because I have time, and my last couple outings have been with Cedric Alexander, who's phenomenal talent.
Yeah. And
I guess my attitude has been, well, I'm going to put matches on Main Event that I want them to see and go, man, I wish we would put that on Raw.
Yes. Sees every opportunity, no matter how small it might seem. Right. And I'm sorry, but a lot of the indie guys would love to be on Main Event. A lot of people would not see that. I mean, they'd see that as a step up. So I think we get caught up in is this a step up or is this a step down? Right. We get caught up in that instead of it's an opportunity.
Well, for me, TV is TV.
Yeah.
But again, if you give me the time to get fans invested, I'll get them invested. And which if we go double back to my experiences on the indies, it gave me a chance to really learn how to connect with fans on a different level. Because again, I started here and I was here for 10 years. So when I went on the indies, it was a learning experience both in and out the ring, because I got shown a lot of love on the indies, and which made things so much easier. But at the same time, it made things so much easier, but in a way that kind of like the reaction like a superstar main eventer here would get from the crowd. It's like the more fans love you, the easier your job is. So when I was on the independent scene, I felt like it was almost too easy, but at the same time I was like, oh, okay, now I understand how certain things work. And when I went to Japan, believe it or not, most of the Japanese fans had no clue who I was. I had to earn the Japanese fans' respect. Like, it was crickets the first time I showed up there.
Wow.
And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm
10 years, WWE.
10 years, WWE Champion, IC Champion, like.
Wow.
Japanese fans.
You've learned you've earned a lot of championships here. Okay, like I said, because of Raw getting ready to start, I want to ask though, I have to, Mia Yim, really close friend of yours.
Right.
When I had her on and she spoke about the domestic violence that she experienced, she spoke about how you reached out to her numerous times to try to help her. It just goes again to saying the amazing person that you are. You have such a heart of gold. Shelton, I have so much respect for you, for just the man outside of the ring, seriously.
Thank you.
You've been a friend of mine for many years, and just, I don't know, I just always see something special in you. Her going through that, and when she finally reached out and said, I'm ready, I need help to get out of here. I mean, how was that whole process for you? And then the fact that she escaped.
Well, just like everyone else, I was shocked. I met Mia almost immediately when I took my 3-month hiatus from any wrestling after leaving WWE, and I met Mia at one of my first shows, and she was actually wrestling Mickie James. And she was so talented, and like she was just shy little, like I just thought shy little Asian girl, but she was so talented. And then she turned out to be so fun, and then I worked with her in Ring of Honor, and then that's when our friendship really flourished. And again, it was like she immediately became one of my favorite people. Like, I thought she was so funny. We hung out together, we rode together. And I was actually around for a couple of relationships before the violent one. So when she finally told me what was going on, it wasn't that she just came out and told me. She was saying, we were having a conversation. She started talking about, her ex, and then she said something about something, and he headbutt me. And I just remember reading, I go, wait, what? He headbutt you? Like, yeah, but it was nothing like, what do you mean he headbutted you? I never hit women, at all. I've never been in a violent relationship or anything like that. So that was out of left field for me. Like, I just couldn't grasp it. I'm like, he headbutt you? And she's like, yeah, but it's not a big deal. I'm like, no, that's a problem. Like, that's a problem the first time.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, not 50 times later, like, and so I was like, no, you need to get out of that. And she just wasn't ready to get out. And I know we were in Japan when she actually told me this, and it was one of those, I wanted to kill the guy. But she's like, no, but then it was a situation where she's like, well, we can't hang out because he's jealous of you. And I was like, and again, I kind of, that much I could understand. And I was like, yeah, I get it. Me being who I am, or the position that I'm in, yeah, most guys probably wouldn't want their girl hanging out with me, no matter if we say, that's my brother, whatever.
Right.
So I totally got it. Okay, I'll out of respect for you and your relationship, yes, that's fine, but I would still check in now and then. So when the whole headbutt thing comes out, I was like, screw it. Like, no, you need to get out of there. Like, and of course I was like, you can come stay with me. Like, I don't care. You don't hit women. If you got to hit them, leave them first.
Yeah.
Like, that's simple rule. If you hit, I have a zero tolerance when it comes to physical violence in relationships.
Yeah.
If a woman slaps me one time out of anger,
I'm out.
we're done. Like,
Yeah.
we've got nothing else to talk about. I don't care what the issue was.
Right.
We got nothing else to talk about. And I would never, I couldn't. I was raised by a woman.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't see it now. So again, by this time she was my little sister. I'm like, look, whatever you need, I'll get. If you got to come stay with me, get your flight, something. Like, who else knows about this? And at the time, she hadn't told her family or anything. I'm like, and it wasn't my place to expose like that. But I was
Right.
like, you need to get the F out of there. Because a lot of the most extreme things that I heard her talk about, she didn't tell me while she was in a relationship. Because some of that stuff was like, okay, this is where a man shows up to fight, because this is bullshit.
Oh, it's intense. It was intense
So-
because she really talked a lot intense about what had happened. And I was so happy that she did talk about it, because it does help other women to know if they're in that situation, get out. It's never going to get better. Like, get the hell out. But to have a friend like you support, she mentioned it, that you are a really big thing for her, and that support to help her get out. So you are a doll.
Well, I feel like I did what any friend would do. There was
Any good friend.
Any good friend would do.
Yeah.
So, like I said, now she's out. She's happy.
Yeah.
She's successful. Like I said, she's my little sister. I love her to
Yeah.
death. And it's funny, even with our little banters back and forth on Twitter and Instagram and everything. Like, it's all love. It's all fun. Actually, a lot of fans keep saying we should do our own little podcast where we just
You should.
rip into each other all day. I'm like,
But it's another job.
Yeah,
let me just
if-
tell you.
if it
Then
be-
that turns into a job.
yeah, if it becomes work, then
Yeah.
it's not as natural.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love it. Well, let me tell you something. One thing about you is you have, like I said, you have a heart of gold. Don't ever put that on the shelf. The humble thing, it's okay to do that every now and then. The heart, that's just you. I know you will never put that on the shelf. And so I appreciate you for that. And I do, there's something, dude, that I feel that is coming for you. Okay? I feel that the opportunity that you've been waiting for is coming. So hang in there. Keep
hang.
showing up. Keep being you.
I'll keep fighting.
Absolutely. My final question to you. By the way, thank you for being on, especially during
Oh,
Black
thank you
History
for having
Month.
me.
Yeah.
It's
And you said you had nothing to talk about. We could go on for another hour.
yeah, I'm long-winded. but-
No, it's great. I'm saying that you've got plenty to talk about. Has your chase, like, look at you as a kid, right? Looking at your life. Has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it was going to look?
My chase for glory I don't think I could have imagined it, because as bad as I sometimes like to think I have it, I don't have it bad. I work with the #1 company, professional wrestling, sports entertainment company in the world.
Yeah.
I have 2 very, very talented, beautiful daughters. I haven't had a need not met ever. So to come from, I look at my journey. I started with literally nothing, and now I'm a bit of a household name,
Yeah.
almost around the world.
Yeah.
So I'm still, no matter what, I'm ahead of the curve. But again, if I'm going to be in the game, I'm going to play hard and play long, and I want to get dirty. So My dream is, it looks great, but I'm still striving to make it look so much better. I want more.
I love that, dude. I love it. Tell the fans how to find you on social media.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter. I am SheltyB803 or at SheltyB803, and on Instagram, SheltyB803. That's
simple for both.
Very simple. Shelton from South Kakalaki.
That's what we always say. I love it. Thank you, dude. I love you.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss a single video or a live stream. And definitely share this with a friend. All right, follow the show at Chasing Glory on Instagram, at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. For everything Chasing Glory, just go to chasingglory.com. Until next week, go out there and live with much peace, love, and passion. And remember, always be yourself and trust that it's enough. Mwah. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends, and be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite shows.